I got a big video for today, guys. In today's video, we're going to be building out an interactive chat application utilizing Flask and SocketIO. But there's going to be a sprinkle of JavaScript in there as well, because hey, we need the gears to run. We're going to be building out a chat application which allows you to join different chat rooms, interact with users by sending and receiving messages, all with Python and JavaScript. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another episode of Code with Josh. For obvious reasons, I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you guys here. Today is a big video. It's a big project. And before I dive into it, help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe. That really does help out the channel. Now, today we're building out this chat application using Flask, but also integrating SocketIO to create these interactive chat rooms, which are going to allow you to join different rooms, but also send and receive messages, which is a lot of fun. This is a really big project. So guys, drop comments and questions along the way. I spent a lot of time trying to prepare for this and learn for this as well. So I can't wait to share it with you guys. Guys, the first link in the description, that is my Python masterclass. I would love the opportunity to work with you guys using the 8 years of teaching experience I have to take you through from zero to knowing. All the other links in the description, those are the resources that I've been building to help you guys grow in your Python journey, wherever you may be, from masterclass to ebooks, all the way to my Python newsletter. Head on down, check them out. All right, I've been talking enough said. Let's jump in to our Flask application.
All right, guys, this is quite a big project. I'm really excited to put this together and build this out and hopefully break it down to a level you can understand. Any questions you have throughout this, drop in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you find you're getting value in this video, help me out. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you guys. So we are making a Flask-based chat application with SocketIO. Okay, so SocketIO is going to allow us to basically create chat rooms and interact in there. We are going to use Flask, so Python, HTML, Flask, right, and JavaScript as well to build this out. I'm here in a new project folder. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to create a main Python file, and because we're in Flask, we need to create a templates folder. And we're also going to create a static folder. Make sure that static is on its own, not inside templates. Okay. Now, templates, if you're new to Flask, this holds all your HTML files. Okay. So anything related to HTML goes here. Static is for all your CSS and in this case, JavaScript. Right. So I might create a CSS file. And I might create a JavaScript file. Okay, that's housed in the static. Now, for now, we're just going to focus on the Python file. Okay, so really to get things going, I have a lot of this installed, but if you don't already have Flask, you need Flask. And then because we're using Flask SocketIO, you're also going to need to install that. So install Flask and SocketIO, just like that. Run your code, let it do its thing. Okay, I'm going to go through all my imports here. So we have a lot of them. They're going to be useful. They're going to help us. I'm going to import OS. That's from Python, our operating system. We're going to import random. I'm going to import logging. Okay, I want a way to track everything. For the chat rooms, I'm thinking that we're going to be able to keep the date and the time. I want to know when everyone's active, so I'll do some date time. And then I'm going to be using, we could use a database here. I'm going to try and keep this simple for you guys, so I'm just going to really store things in a dictionary. You could implement SQLite for this, like an ORM, as in SQL Alchemy. But let's just say here from typing, I'm going to import dicts. Honestly, I think I'm just going to use a dictionary. Let's just keep it as that. From Flask, we need to import Flask, right? We need render template. This will allow us to put an HTML on the screen. Request, and we need to get the current session. We're going to do from Flask SocketIO now. Okay, we need the SocketIO. This is a module on its own, right? But we're using the Flask version of it. They just work better together, right? So SocketIO, we need to emit data. And because we're working with chat rooms, they have join room, really cool, and leave room. So we're going to use those. And then usually we would want some level of security. So let me think here. I think we can go from workzug. I can never pronounce that. We want to do middleware, I think, and proxy fix. Yeah, okay. So if our app runs behind a reverse proxy, this is going to make sure things are handled correctly. So I'm just going to import proxy fix. Okay, a lot of imports. Okay, let's do in the beginning, right? Let's just, well, I guess the first thing, let's just make our app. I'm going to say app is equal to Flask. Okay, make sure we give it our name. And then really at the bottom for now, we're going to expand on all this, but let's just, I like to get this boilerplate down. So if name is equal to main, we're just going to say app run debug is equal to true. Okay. If you wanted to do an initial test, you could. I'm going to be changing everything anyways, but you could just do app.route. And you could define your index, your home page. And for now, it's just popular to return like a string. If you run this, everything's going to be connected. You can go to the URL and just see hello on the screen, right? So let's do some logging here, okay? Because really, I want to be able to keep track. I want to be able to log any information going through Socket. And anything else that kind of comes up in the application. So you could print it, right? But the better way to handle this is through logging. So let's take logging and we can set up a basic configuration for logging. Now, I have a whole video out on this. I'll try and link it here. I might forget when I'm putting this together. But logging is a better way because I can log different levels. So for example, logging, initially info's like the basic one. I have info, I have warning, error, critical. There's different levels which we could log. And we could even give a format to the logs. So I'm going to put here as a string. I guess inside here, let's say ASC time. I want to get the time for it. S, there we go. I want to get the name of the log. So I'm just going to say name. There we go. Let's get the level that we're logging. So level name can go here. And the last one, let's just do what message is the error that we're trying to log. Could be an error. It doesn't matter what it is, right? I can create a logger now that we'll use later. And I'm just going to say logging.getLogger name. Okay, this will allow me to insert my logger, which is set up here, into my socket at a later stage. Okay, very cool. So, all right, my logging is essentially done. Now, for the flow of things, I'm going to have different chat rooms, which you can enter, chat, leave, swap rooms. I'm going to set up a configuration for all of this. So let's create a class called config. And this is just going to be our application's configuration. And I'm going to try and give it some default settings here. Now, for security, we would have something like a secret key. I'm not going to make one right now, but you could make one. Let's just say an environment variable. So environment variable I'm setting up here. Let's get, for now, I'm just going to say secret key. You could put what you want there, your own secret key, or I can just make a random one. So I think I can do urandom, let's say like 24. It'll just make me a random secret key to use here. We're going to create a debug. So my debug here, let's see, my environment variable, we want to get, I want to get the Flask debugger, or let's just use well, there is really no or here now, is there? I'm going to get my Flask debugger. I'm going to set it initially to false, if we can spell correctly. And let's just make sure that everything is lowercase and that it's in one of these. So it's either going to be true in the text form, excuse me. It's going to be 1, which is true, or lowercase t is also true. Then we need some CORS origins. So this is going to define which domains can connect to my WebSockets. So origins, that's spelled correctly, right? I'm just going to say here, again, this is just an environment variable. I want to get CORS origin. And I want to say that it can pretty much allow all origins. So I'm just going to say star. Inside here, you guys can make your own chat rooms, but really we'll be able to switch through all of these. So for example, if we have like a general chat room, we have a 0 to knowing chat room. This is my Python masterclass. That's the first link in the description, guys. Head on down, check it out. We could have a Code with Josh chat room. Right? That's where you're watching this. Or we could have the Nerd Nook. That's my weekly Python newsletter, also in the description. Check it out. I'm going to make a chat room for each of these. So it's just a list of my configuration settings. Okay? Pretty cool. So I've imported everything. We set up logging. We have all of our configuration. We have an app. I'm going to change this shortly. Okay? Now, after we establish an app here, I want to be able to load all the configuration settings that we just set up here. So in order to load this, let's just take our app, let's say config from an object, and I'm going to give it my class, config. Okay, so now my app is loading pretty much everything we have here. Okay, awesome. Earlier, we imported something to handle reverse proxy headers. So remember, if our app is going to run behind a reverse proxy, we want to ensure headers are handled correctly. So let's just say handle reverse proxy. Inside here, we can take our app. We can say it is a WSGI app. And we are just going to use the class we imported here. I had to do some research on this section. Give it our app, give it our WSG app, and we're going to say exporto, excuse me. This is going to be x host is 1. Okay. Set up the socket. Cool. So continuing down the line, let's create an object just called SocketIO, I guess. This is going to be equal to our class SocketIO. We need to give this a few things. We need to connect our app, so I'm going to give it my Flask application. We need to enable the CORS that we defined up there for our WebSocket. So we're going to say CORS allowed origins app.config. And we're going to say CORS origins. Okay, cool. Logger, we created a logger. We're going to say that's true. And we want to log the engine. So I'm going to say true. Okay, so our socket is set up. Now, for our memory, like I said, you could make a database. Okay. In this case, we are just going to make a dictionary to really store everything. So for example, I could create something called like active users. Let's do like a type hinting. This is going to be a dictionary. It's going to be a string, and then internally will be a dictionary of other information. Okay, sweet. So all of our active users are going to go in here. Okay, and I'm going to randomly generate a username that I can just use. Speaking of that, let's actually do that. Let's come in here. So let's start off by make a user. Okay, I want to generate a user. So I'm going to say def, let's just say generate user, generate a guest, I guess, generate guest username. And inside it takes nothing, but this is going to be a string. And let's get a timestamp. So timestamp date time now. Let's convert that to string format. Okay. And let's just do, I guess we can do here hours and the minutes they joined. Hours, minutes. Okay. And I'm going to return if I can spell return, guest, timestamp when they joined. And if you're going to make a login authentication system, you would actually insert the users here. Like a user can register, log in, and then take their name from the database. I'm not going to do that to save time for this video. I'm going to say random, randint. Let's just generate a username between like, I don't know, 1,000 and like 10,000, right? Cool. This is going to generate us a guest username. All right. And we'll be able to actually see this in the chat once we get it running. Now we want to create our home route, which I could have left, I suppose, but it was just, I wanted us to focus on what was in front. So remember, now, if you're new to Flask, a route is essentially a page, in this sake, that you can visibly see on your web application, okay? Any website, the home page is started with a slash, okay? This is the home page of the web app. It's ultimately what we're going to be able to see here in a moment once we get some HTML up and going. I'm going to say if username is not in a session, then we want to create a session for the user. So I'm going to say session username is equal to, let's call generate guest. So it's going to generate us a user if we're not already there. We can log some info if we want to here, and let's just say a new user session made. We're just going to go here, session username. So you can log who has been in there. Okay. Otherwise, let's return an HTML file. So return render template. I'm going to give it my index.html, which there's nothing in it yet. There will be soon. Okay. I'm going to give it the username that we have. So username is equal to our session username. We will use that. And then we need to give it the rooms. What rooms are we going to have in our chat application? So I'm just going to send it app config, and we want to access from the config the chat rooms that we made earlier. Okay, so our home route is ultimately done. Honestly, let's build out the HTML so I can start running this for you guys and you can see what we're looking at here. Over in the HTML, I'm going to drag this outside. Okay, I'll put it back in later. I'm going to create my HTML. Okay, now we're going to put a whole bunch of stuff here, and I suppose I will link the CSS. I'm not going to do CSS in this video, guys. It's going to be a longer video. I will include the source code in the description for you guys that you can go down and access if you want for. Inside here, we are going to link our CSS. File name is equal to styles.css. Now, this is slightly different, right? This is me using Jinja in order to interact with these. Title, let's call this 0 to no. Nope. We're going to call this code with Josh chat. There we go.
If you guys are getting value in today's video, this big project, help me out, hit the like button and subscribe. Guys, any questions? Let me know in the comments, okay? Back to the video.
Now inside the body, we're going to put a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to have an H2, and let's just say the H2 says welcome to some kind of username. So I'll span it. And I'm actually going to give this an ID because I want to access it later. This is going to be our username. Inside there, we want to put username that we give from the Python file to our application here. Internally, whoops, that should have been smart. Div, there we go. I'm going to create a div with a container. This is really going to house the entire flow of the application. And a div, right, is really just a container. Now, in here, we are going to have some type of sidebar where I'm able to actually choose which room I want and see the users who are active in the chat application. And then inside the sidebar, there's two parts. There's the chat room, there's the user available. So for the chat room, we're just going to go here and I'm going to be like room list. And let's just give this an H3. Let's say rooms. Okay. We don't have, well, we have rooms actually. If I go back, we gave, right here, rooms. I'm giving the HTML file the rooms that we defined right here in this configuration setup. So it's a list. Remember, it's a list. So inside here, we're actually going to say curly brackets. Okay, I'm going to say for every room in my rooms, we're using Jinja here. So it's gonna loop through that. Every room we get, I'm going to create a div for that room. This could be called like a room item. This is an item. And really, we will link JavaScript here later. But really, each of these room items, we want to display the room that we gave it. Anytime we have any Jinja, we need to end the for loop. So I'm going to say end for. Okay. Okay. So we've displayed the rooms. That's nice. Let's create a user list, I suppose. So user list. You'll be able to see everyone who's logged in here. And I'll open different windows that I'll be able to chat back and forth, which is pretty cool. Let's just give this an H3. Let's say like online users. Okay. We're going to give this a div of its own. This one will give an ID and we'll say active users. Currently, there's none inside there. Okay, so we have our active users, a div. From the outside now, we have our write container. The write container, div. Our write container is really going to be the main chat of the application where all the chats are going to go. So let's create a div. This internal div, this is going to be the chat that we see. Okay, so we have a chat. And then we're going to have an area where you can actually input stuff. So let's call this input area. That makes sense. And inside the input area, we are going to have an input. This will be text. We're going to give this an ID of this is the message you're trying to send. Placeholder if you want to like enter text here, I suppose. And I think that's fine for now. We'll give a button as well, and this button is just going to say send. Okay. I'm going to put this, make sure it's in templates. You can see the colors changed for me now. It's easier to code that on the outside. Once it's in the templates folder, you can see all the Jinja highlighted. I'm just going to make sure that, that's what I'm looking for. So returning here, I'm going to run my Python file, and we should see a rough layout. Okay, there's going to be no styling whatsoever. That's fine. You can see my logging has begun. Let me make this window smaller for you guys. Cool. This is honestly what I wanted to see here. Okay. Now, these will be the chat rooms. Okay. And we'll be able to type a message here and click send, and it's going to appear. I'm going to have to style this out. Okay, but for the sake of now, this is pretty good. This is what I'm going for. I'm going to keep this running. Okay, so I'm just going to keep it here. With Flask, you don't have to kill the terminal. Anytime you make a change, just click the refresh button. It should automatically refresh for you. Okay, going back here to our Python, I'm going to scroll down. We've done the home route. Let's jump in right here. I'm going to create... make a connection. I'm going to create a connection. So when a user connects to our socket, our application, it's going to assign them a username if they don't have one. It's going to store their username in the dictionary we made, our database for this project. And it's going to broadcast the updated users list to our clients. So I can say here SocketIO, we are going to make an event. And I'm going to make a function, let's just call it connect. Okay, this will handle a new socket connection. I'm going to try to check if username is not in the session, then we want to basically create them one. So I'm going to say session username is going to be equal to generate guest username. Okay, that's great. We're going to take our dictionary, active users. We are going to say request ID as our key, and SID. There we go, our socket ID. And then we're going to set the values of the internal dictionary. We're going to have a username as the key, and the value to this is just the current username. We're going to have a time. Let's just say connected at. There we go. Let's say date time now is of format. There we go. Okay, cool. Now that we have established a connection, I want to omit all the active users. I want to basically broadcast information. I'm going to say active users, okay? And inside there, we're going to give it a dictionary, and we're going to say users. Who are the users? Well, they're going to be in a list. So I'm going to say username for every user in active users. Whoops, that is our dictionary. So we just want to get the values from that dictionary. Outside there, we're going to say broadcast is true. Okay, so we're creating a connection. If they're not already logged in, we're going to generate them a username, and then we're going to take our dictionary and we're going to add the username as well as the time they connected to the dictionary. This dictionary is acting as our database. Once we update the database, we are just emitting the information. We're broadcasting that information of who's active into our application. Okay. Last thing I'll do here is I'll say logger info. Let's just say connection, or I guess user connected, right? User connected. We're going to say session username. Okay, cool. Except exception as E. We're going to throw an exception. Logger got an error. Let's just say connection error. String E, and we're going to return false. Okay, so we have established a connection. Okay, we're emitting the data, we're logging the data, our connection is sorted. We basically want to do the opposite now. We want to have a way to disconnect when a user leaves. So disconnect from session, ultimately. This is a new socket event. So socket event. All right. And I'm going to do like the logic backwards now. We want to try to do the same thing. And honestly, I'm just going to take this function. I'm going to paste it down here to save a little time. Let's call this disconnect. Now, if this is true, okay, I don't actually need the first part here or this part. We're just going to revise this. I want to try. So if the request socket ID is in my database, my dictionary, I'm going to say username is equal to active users request socket ID username. We want to delete that from the database. So active users request socket ID. Okay, we are now deleting that. I'm going to again broadcast all the users into it. Okay, so that's not changing. And our logger info, we can just say disconnected. We don't have a session anymore. We just have a username. Go. That's ultimately it. Connection error, I guess here I would say disconnection error. Okay, there's no need to return false anymore for this one. We don't need to. So our disconnection is set up perfectly, guys. Okay. Now we need a way, where am I at here? We are going to have to join some chat rooms. So in order to join, let's create a new event. So SocketIO event, or this is not an event, this is on, right? Yeah. I want to join. Okay, so I'm going to create a method, a function here. Let's call this on join. We're going to give it data. That data is just a dictionary. And we're going to try to get the username. So username is going to be equal to our session. You guys got this now. Username. The room is going to be equal to the data we give it. We want to get the room from that. If room is not in the app config file, config chat rooms, then we're going to throw a warning. We're going to say warning, f string, no room available, I guess, and just return. Okay, so we're really only giving a few options for chat rooms. I gave 4 options. If that's not available, no room available. Otherwise, let's call the function from SocketIO, join room, and we're going to give it the room that we're trying to join. Let's take our active users. We're going to access their ID, and we want to access the room within that and just say that is now equal to the room. What do we want to omit? We're going to omit a few changes here. We're going to omit the status, and within the status, we might have a message. Let's omit f string, let's say username has joined the room. So anytime a person joins the room, this message is going to pop up in the chat room to let you know, hey, this person actually joined the room. Type, this was a join event, so we'll be able to see that. And we can give it a timestamp. And I think you guys got this too. We're going to say date time, the now. Let's make sure it's in the correct format. Awesome. Then we can just say here, room is equal to room. Okay. So we've done that. I suppose we could create a log real quick. Logger, info. We're just going to say user. I don't even need these loggers. This is just good practice. Has joined. Okay, exception as E, logger, error. Honestly, let's just do here string error. Cool, that was on join. We do need the same thing now. So what's the opposite of join, guys? Well, join, well, I could leave as well. So let's create a function for on leave. How do we want to handle this? I'm going to give it data again. That data is going to be a dictionary. Really, we're still going to have a username and room because I need to keep track of when they leave. So username and room. I can then just use the function leave room. That's it. Inside there, what room are you leaving? Perfect. Done. If the request ID, okay, if the request ID is in our dictionary, that means they need to be removed from our database. So in this case, I'm just going to take our dictionary. We're going to say request ID, and we want to pop them off the end. I don't want them to be anymore. So I'm going to pop the room, none. And we are going to then emit. I'm just going to go copy, copy, copy. I need to emit the status. Okay, so emit status, we can say has left the room. This is not a join event anymore. This is a leave. Yeah, done. Okay, I'm just going to copy these two, our logger. Paste has left the room. Okay, tab the, oh, where am I here? Oh, since we don't have an accept, let's just throw a try. Boom. Okay, very cool, very cool, very cool. I think this kind of brings us down to our final one. Where are we here? We have connect, disconnect, on join, on leave. We're really good. So the last thing I want to do is I need a way to handle all the messages. Okay. So I'm going to create, I think, let's do a socket event here. I'm going to say here, handle messages. This is going to take some kind of data, which again will be a dictionary. Let's try to do a bunch of things. Let's say username is equal to session username. Okay, so we're getting the username. We're going to get the room. So data get room. Let's just set it initially as general. The message type is going to be equal to, let's get the data back from what was emitted. We're going to say type. This should be of a type message. And then speaking of the message, what is the message? Let's say data get MSG for our message. Currently it's nothing. Let's just strip everything off the message. That looks good. Yeah, let's strip everything. If there is no message, then we're just returning. It's not going to do anything. If there is a message, before we do anything, let's create a timestamp the message was sent. So date time. Now, let's make sure it's formatted, right? Because when I send a message, I want to be able to see, when that message was. And I guess we could do like private messages. Yeah, okay. Let's just say if the message type, I guess I could establish just a key here, just a value called private. Let's say target user is going to be equal to data get. We'll see if this works right when I run the whole app. We're going to get, what do we want to get? The target. Who is the private message going to? Too many there. Target. Okay. If there is no target user, then we're just going to return. Okay. Now, I guess for handling the private message, we can say for SID and user data in active users.items dictionary key. If user data, we're going to say username, is equal to the target user that we're trying to send it to, we are going to emit a private message. And internally, we're going to say key message is equal to the message we're trying to send. From is going to be equal to the username. That's your username, probably in this case. To is going to be to our target user. And then our timestamp. So timestamp, since I already made the timestamp, I don't need to do it again. We're just going to say timestamp is here. And then let's say room is equal to SID. Return. Done. Wow. Okay. Else, it's not a private message. Everyone can read it. So if room not in app.config chat rooms return. We're not going to do anything, right? It has to be in it. Otherwise, I'm just going to copy this emit. Well, no, I'm not, because I would just have to redo most of it. Let's just say emit a message. What is the message? So let's put our key, MSG, message. We need a username. That is, again, just our username. We want our room. Oh, wow. Almost done here, guys. Room, and then our timestamp. Again, room is equal to room. Did I try? Yeah, we did a try. So let's just go get my exception. Done. Did my errors go away? What's the error? Oh, I forgot a comma. Okay. Awesome, guys. Holy crap. So we're pretty much done with Python. Okay, we're getting long here. Down here, I'm going to create a port OS environment variable get. We're just going to say port 5000. Okay. SocketIO, we want to run. So I replace that now. We're going to run our app. We're going to say the host is, let's just say 0000. We're going to say port is equal to our ports. Debug is equal to app.config. We already established debug, so we're dropping that there. I'll fix the two equal signs. Use reloader. This is just a copy and paste thing again. So take our debug, copy, copy, paste. Oh, jeez. Whoa, guys, what do you think so far? That was so much stuff. So very much. Okay, I'm gonna save that. Ideally, everything should be running. Well, maybe it's not running. Let's try it again. Run your application. Warning. Yeah, okay, we're fine. Open. Okay, everything's still running. Here, doesn't work, right? We need JavaScript for this now, okay? Everything is fine with Socket, but now it's time for the JavaScript, right? I need a way to interact with all the IDs and classes we have here to transmit our data between everything. And really, once I send the data, I need it to appear. That's sort of what JavaScript's coming in for. Okay, so I'm gonna close main. We're actually gonna go over and open JavaScript here. Okay, let's just close that out. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable here, and I want to create my socket. So let's socket equal IO. All right. And really, let's create a few variables. Let's say current room. Let's say the default room is just going to be general. If you're here for the Python stuff, guys, I hit the Python. JavaScript, I used to be quite good at it. Since I primarily use Python now, I had to practice a little bit with this to get this working. I have sockets, I have current room. Let's say there's a username. And from the username, we're actually fetching this get element by ID. In our HTML file, I gave the ID username, and we just want to get the text content. Okay. Right. So over here, right here, I gave the ID user. I'm trying to fetch whatever we put inside there. And then we're going to say room messages is going to be our dictionary. Well, Python terms. Now, really, all my socket events, or I guess the event listeners, will go here. But we don't have any functions, so I need to make some socket functions. The first one is going to be like to handle the messages. So let's create a function, and we're going to say add message. Okay, and inside our message, we're going to get a sender, we're going to get a message, and we're going to get the type of message. Okay, so really, I'm going to first check, and I want to see if room messages, our variable I made. Let's make sure that we're in the current room. Okay, I'm going to say room messages current room is equal to a new array. Okay, room messages, let's take it. Let's say current room. We want to, I want to push new information to it. What information? We're going to say sender, we're going to say message, and we're going to say type. Okay, so we're going to push that to the new room. Let's create some variables. These won't change. So I'm going to say chat is equal to our document get element by ID. We made an ID called chat. We're going to create a message div. Well, I already have the message div, so I'm not really going to create it. I'm going to say document get element by ID. Well, actually, to be fair, I don't have a message div. I don't actually have one. So let me actually change this. Let's create an element, and I want to make a div. Yeah. Okay. I don't have that. So any messages, we're just gonna create a div once we have messages. Let's take our message div. We're gonna give it a class name here, and I'm just gonna say message type. Okay. Oops, save, forgot my semicolon. We're going to say message div text content is equal to the sender. There we go. And we're going to put in here the message that they're trying to send. Let's take our chat. Let's append to the chat. The chat is our, go back. Where is my chat? Ha, ha, ha. Okay, we want to append to it. Excuse me, where is it? Yeah. Thought I had it. Let me keep coding. Chat. Oh, excuse me, it's right in front of me. It's absolutely right in front of me. Chat. Okay, so I'm appending to the child. What do I want to append to the chat? The message div. Okay, cool beans. Chat, let's say scroll top. Let's try and scroll top. And we're going to say chat scroll height. Okay. So adding a message is done. This creates a new message div. It adds a class based onto the message of your own, other, or the system, and it appends it to our chat. This just makes sure that all the messages are going to be displayed properly. Big project, guys. If you're getting value, really hit that like button. Okay. I enjoy projects. I mean, they help me learn, they help me teach, they help you guys too. So projects are great. I'm going to create a function for sending messages now. So let's just call this send message, really. Send message won't take anything. Let's create an input. Let's create a message. So for the input, let's say document get element by ID. We made an input box. And, well, did I give it message? Yeah, ID message. Okay. So just to make sure I have that. Now, what is the message? Well, let's take our input, let's get the value, and let's just strip it. Or in this case, we're in JavaScript, trim the message. Okay. If there is no message, we have to return. That's an error. So if there is no message, just return. Otherwise, let's see, if the message starts with an A. So if it starts with an @ it's going to be a private message, right? So if it starts with that, then we need to handle it a bit different. Let's create a constant. We're going to take our target, and we want to get the parts of the message. So MSG parts. This is going to be equal to our message substring, and we want to split anywhere we have. Let's just put a space. Okay, forgot a dot. Okay, cool. Target message parts. I think I'm still on the right path here. Private MSG is going to be MSG parts that we made there. We want to join together anywhere there's a space. There we go. Cool beans. If there is a private message, then we are going to take our socket and we want to emit. I want to emit a message. Indeed, I do. Just like we did before, what is the message? Well, the message is going to be this time the private message. Very cool. We are going to put type. Oops, where am I here? Type. Wait, type is a key, right? Yeah, no, I already have type. So here I'm just going to say type. The type of message is a private message, and we're going to say target is equal to target. Okay. So if it's a private message, we handle that slightly differently. Otherwise, we're just going to come here and we're going to say else. There we go. Else, we're going to socket emit a message. Message. Dictionary. MSG is our message. Room is our current room. Save, save, save. Last thing on the outside here, let's just now return our input value. It's going to be back to an empty string, and we can focus back on our input. Okay, so the sending message is completed. Really, we need a route now. Not a route, we have the routes. Add message, send message, we need to join a room. Okay, so let's say join the room. Okay, so let's create a function, join room. How are we going to join a room? Well, we need to give it a room. We are going to say socket. Let's say if we're already in general, we spawn in general, and I go to a different room. We need to leave the general room. We need to go to the new room. So we are going to emit, we are going to leave the room that we're currently in, and we're going to say room, current room. We're going to say current room is equal to room. And then we're going to say socket emit. We are going to join the room. Okay, brilliant. We're going to create another constant called chat. I want to be able to save the chat history. If we jump between rooms and I go back to a previous room, the same chat history should still be there. So we're going to say document get element by ID. We want to get the chat. Chat inner HTML is equal to a string. If room messages, room. So if we're in that room, let's get the room messages again. Room. We're just going to say for each. No, I don't think I want that. I think I just want for each. Yeah. Okay, VS Code's trying to be smart there. Let's throw an arrow function again. So we're going to say message. What is the message? Let's call the function we made add message, MSG sender, MSG message, and MSG type, our message type. Save, whoops. Giving me errors now, are you? Dune. Oh. There we go. Okay. Complexity errors. Okay, we're almost done, guys. I'm just going to map out here. Let's give insert private message. We're going to handle button press. All these are going to be functions. They're not really events. Initialize chat. And let's create one to like, yeah, let's just leave that actually for now. Okay, so def. We're in JavaScript now. That's confusing. Insert private message. This is going to take a user. We're going to say document get element by ID. We're going to say message. The value of the message is equal to user. Okay, we've inserted that. We're going to say document get element by ID. Again, with the message thing, we're going to say message. We want to focus on it. Done. Handle button press. When I press the send button, we want to basically send the information off. So I'm going to create a function. Let's call this handle key press. I suppose this will take some type of event when we click. If the event.key is equal to enter, okay, and the event is not the shift key, because shift enter isn't one. We're going to say event prevent default, and we want to send the message. Done. To initialize the chat, this should be the last thing I have to do. I guess we're about to find out real soon. I'm going to say let chat. I'm going to create, I don't need a function, document.add event listener. We're going to add it to the DOM content that is loaded. Arrow function it. What do we want to do when the content is loaded? Document query selector all. I want to get everywhere that has the class room item. I gave a class for that. For each item, we are just going to say if what, Joshua? Item text, I think text content is going to be trimmed down. This is equal to the room. And we're going to say item class list add active room. Whew, almost done, guys. That's awesome. Yeah, all of our JavaScript is done. You just need your event listeners now to communicate with everything, and we need to link it to the HTML. Oh, big project. So, oops, socket on. Okay, so on connect, when we connect, we're going to throw an arrow function, and we are going to say join room. Okay, we want to join general automatically. That's actually all we want to do here. Okay, socket on a message. We are going to do something slightly different. I guess the message, though, is going to need some type of data. And we're going to say add message. What do we want to add? Well, data username. I made up top. We have that. We want to add the data message. And we want to add the data username is equal to username. Do we own it? Or is it the other? Okay. So we have a message, let's say sockets on private message. Again, we're going to give it some data. And we're going to call add message again. And we're going to say here data.from, who's the message from? We're going to say this is from private data message. Cool beans. And we can also put here, this is just a private. We need two more, I believe. Socket on. Let's get the status of the message. So the status will be data. We're going to add the message. We want to add the system because the system could give us a message like, hey, the user has joined, etc. So we're going to say message and we're going to say system. And then your last one, socket.on, active users. We are going to give this data. We are going to give this a list of users. So user list is equal to document.get element by ID. Let's get our list or our dictionary. Active users. We're going to take our user list that we just made. User list. Let's get the inner HTML and data users. Oh, geez. Okay. Oh, no, that's not done. I need to map. User list, inner HTML, take the users. We want to map over user. And we are going to say here, we need to create like a div. So I'm going to say class equals user item on click. Ooh, I didn't do any on click events yet. So we're going to have to do that. On click is going to be insert. What did I call that? Let me just copy it. Insert, let's spell that correctly. Insert private message. There we go. So on click, we want to insert private message. That is a function, so we have to give it some other data. We are going to say here user. That's a part of the div. So I'm going to say user. Oh, geez, this is getting mind-numbing. User is equal to username. Is it you? We'll just say you, I guess, or empty. Then we're going to have to close the div. Guys, check your spelling on this one. That's going to throw you some major issues. Holy crap. Okay, that is actually done. So I'm going to go back here. Let's go into my index. Before the body, everything now is going to take place here in the index. So before the body ends, let's add a script. Okay. We need to give a source, and we're going to go Jinja URL 4. It's inside static. We're going to go file name. We're going to go here. This is going to be chat.js. Save. Okay. Really, to sync the events now, inside here, I'm going to say on click, not on abort, on click. Okay. We want to call the function join room. Okay. And then I need to put one here, placeholder text, probably in my input. On click, we are going to handle, what did I call that? Key press, I think. And we're going to give it an event. And then for my button, also needs the final on click. So on click, we are going to say here, send message, call it. Boom shakalaka. Go to your Python file, ladies and gentlemen, run your code, drink some water. I don't know how much I've had. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's try it. Test, send. Okay, so something isn't quite connected. Send button. Do. Let me go through and check. Okay, not sure if you guys caught it. I actually missed a few things. So here in my index file, join room, I never gave it anything. So we need to give it a room here, okay? Going down, this handle key press, this is when we press a key. So this should actually be on key press. And additionally, one really big thing I missed is because JavaScript, I'm using the socket. I need a script to where if I go here and I do like cdn.js, this is what I want. Okay. We need to get the SocketIO script for this to work. So I'm going to click on this. Okay. And I'm just going to copy the first link. Go up here inside the header. We're going to say script src is equal to a string, paste, close it, and then do a closing script. Okay, so now when we run that, ultimately, we are now going to start to see this come to life. Okay, so let me click on this. Let's just ensure. Hello. Ah, sweet. This is really cool. Chat is working. I'm going to drop in my CSS, guys. Remember, the link's in the description to the repo if you guys want it. But this is ultimately the final product of what we're after here. So let me refresh. This is it, okay? I can facilitate between rooms, okay? And really cool is, let's close this down. Let's open a new window. Let's go over here. I'm going to take the URL, paste the URL. There we go. Okay, so now you can see both of these because I'm on like the same one. It's the same user, right? 11498824. Yeah. Let's just open a Google Chrome guest tab and let's just paste that in here now. There you can see. Now I have a new user. So if I type over here, I'll go to 0 to knowing. I'm in 0 to knowing. Okay. And I can type what's up. Spelled that wrong. And you can see right there, what's up. Hey, man. Oh, like and subscribe to Code with Josh. I could jump to a different chat. I could be like, hey, that's me. If I go in here, right, I don't see it because I just joined. Okay, that's fine, but I still have the saved ones. Guys, that is our chat application. Really long video I put together for you guys today. I'll try and keep it shorter in the next week, next few videos. Anyways, hope you got value. Hit the like button.
I hope you guys at this point also have a working chat application. We used a lot of tools here from Flask, SocketIO, HTML, and JavaScript, of course. This was probably a steep learning curve, but I hope we broke it down. Spend some time going back through the code that you should also have at this point. In the description, not only is my masterclass, my ebooks, my newsletter to help you grow, but just under that is also the code, the repo over in GitHub for this project. So head on over, check it out if you need to. I included the CSS over in that file. Guys, if you got value, what are you doing? Well, you got value. Hit the like button, subscribe. Until next week, guys, I will see you then.